Live from Orlando, Florida, you're now listening to the OZone Podcast, the voice of Orlando Magic fans. Join us every week for a unique fan perspective on all of the latest Magic news and updates. The show starts now.
What's up, Magic fans? Welcome back to another episode of the OZone Podcast, brought to you by DraftKings and part of the Basketball Podcast Network. We're your hosts, Al, myself, Anthony. Today is Friday, July 22nd. We have special guests with us today, joined by the Close Up Magic, Stephen Cameron, Malik Grady. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's going on, fellas? Thanks for having us. This is great.
Really glad to be here. Admire what you guys do. You guys are definitely gold standard of Orlando Magic podcast, of which they are growing exponentially, I'm hearing. So, yeah.
Absolutely. You're too nice. Last time, if you guys remember, we had Stephen on not too long ago. Now we're joined by Malik. Really happy to have you guys on to be able to talk about everything post, all the madness that happened with the Orlando Magic. But unfortunately, we're at a point where there's not a whole lot going on. So I appreciate you guys doing us the favor so that we can kind of create some type of content. But before we jump into talking Orlando Magic basketball, man, what are you guys up to? How are you guys enjoying the summer so far?
Malik, take it off. You just had a fun vacation. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, I'm still living off the haven't slept high of a kind of 7-day vacation with my family. We visited a place called Lummi Island, which is like 2 hours north of Seattle, kind of towards Bellingham, Washington. My wife's grandmother had her 90th birthday, had a bunch of the kids and grandkids and great-grandkids visiting from all points over the globe. We decided to bring our 2 kids and 2 nieces and nephew up there. So we had 5 kids up there, but had a really good time. Lots of great weather, that kind of stuff. And now back to the grind. Didn't get back to Gainesville till about 4:30 in the morning last night because our plane was delayed and I had to drive back. So that was a lot of fun. And but yeah, just living on fumes and living off, enjoying the Magic, talking with you guys. That's where I'm at.
Are you sure you weren't in Seattle, around the Seattle area, just to kind of take a small glimpse of the Crawsover Pro-Am of Paolo? Is that really the reason why you were out there?
I wish, man. I did take a quick detour into Seattle just on the way back and forth from the airport, but didn't get to see much. but definitely thinking about Paolo. Always Paolo.
Yeah, Steven, how's California treating you?
Dude, no complaints over here, man. Just enjoying life, enjoying fatherhood as my daughter is about to turn 4 months here in a couple of days. Yeah, just enjoying. Yeah, I'm taking off some work here in about a month. Gonna take off a few weeks and be full-time dad as my wife transitions back to work full-time. And yeah, just enjoying some beautiful sunny California weather. I could show you right outside these blinds. Gorgeous weather out here, like nice 70 degrees.
Yeah, must be nice. It's crazy humid in Orlando. Like they just came out with a report not too long ago that they rated Orlando one of the sweatiest cities in Orlando. Like we were ahead of New Orleans. And I went to New Orleans about 2 years ago, and it was brutal, and it's exactly what it feels like. You can't walk outside without sweating at least a little bit. Impossible.
I don't miss those days at all.
Impossible. And then Al, if you're watching on YouTube, Al has a beach background. I can confirm that Al is really not at a beach, right? Can you confirm that? Are you really not at a beach? Because I would be a little upset if you're on vacation right now.
I cannot confirm or deny, guys. I cannot confirm or deny. It's actually my birthday tomorrow, so I'm actually thinking of getting away to the beach somewhere. But actually, last weekend, we went to Delray Beach down here in South Florida. Nice. And that was nice, just to kind of check out some restaurants. We tried to go to the beach, but the weather was not cooperating, unfortunately. But much like you guys, I'm just kind of laying low, relaxing, taking advantage of our downtime because I don't know about you guys. Once the season gets going, it's kind of hard to not be paying attention, watching the games. So wife is definitely enjoying the downtime right now.
I don't know about you, man, but I actually I need the off season too. I know some people dread it, but we go so hard during the season watching so many games. And then, for that was even just as a fan, I used to enjoy it. But now that we do podcasting for the last handful of years, your show and ours have been running roughly around the same time. Dude, it's draining, and you need a mental break to just almost reconnect with your family and just not think about sports. I don't know. I totally cut off from sports for the most part. Check in here and there, stay up to date where I can, but it's nice not to feel the need to turn on something and find a sporting event to watch. I just chill.
It's funny. What I end up doing, I try to like hold on to basketball as long as possible, summer league and reading about stuff, so I can get the other arm and reach out for football and not have to worry about baseball at all. So now I'm getting into all the preseason and all the camps, and all the SEC media days, that kind of stuff. Because football will get me into basketball, and then I have a full year where I don't have to get the other stuff. But
dude,
my wife, I do respect what you do, Stephen, though.
Yeah, my wife, she like today, she was telling me like, what is it that you guys are talking about? Like, there's nothing going on. Like summer league, I get it, but it's over. Like, what are you guys talking about? I'm like, well, Paolo hasn't signed a shoe deal yet, so we're probably going to talk about that. So that kind of leads us into our first segment of Orlando Magic basketball. Paolo hasn't signed a shoe deal yet. All right, so he just recently took some pictures. He was wearing some Luka Doncic shoes with Michael Jordan. If you guys were to select a shoe deal for Paolo, Malik, I'll send it to you first. Who do you think would be the best fit for Paolo Bunkerò?
Well, I wonder, is there any merit to being a free agent shoe-wise this first year? Like just having it where each game maybe you wear a signature shoe of a different player or a different company and try to build the momentum and talk about yourself for that year, and then kind of sign that big deal the next year when you've gotten a little more cachet as the number one pick after hopefully a great year. I know you're a little more into shoes and shoe deals than I am. I was interested in it, but is there any merit to do? Has anyone ever done that, or is that not the way a big guy does it?
I think it would be unusual for a number one pick. I can't think of a number one pick not signing, because that's normally where they're able to maximize the money that they have coming in. I can't think of anyone that has operated. Maybe Luka. I don't remember. Did Luka sign one that early on? I feel
like his was like early into the season, but it wasn't like a full season.
Yeah.
I think his taken off at all. I mean, his isn't really big or anything, is it?
Well, they just now. I believe this is his first signature shoe that they're releasing, and I think even for Zion, they took him a little while to release his shoes. I think that for Paolo being the number one pick, there's way more exposure. So I think whoever it is that he decides to move forward with, he's got to confirm or at least guarantee at least a signature shoe for Paolo. Because I know that during the summer league practices, he was wearing some Pumas. So I know that he's literally going from shoe brand to shoe brand, and there hasn't been anything decided. But I would like to see something a little different. I've never, like me personally, Paolo right now, easily my favorite player in the NBA. Like easy, did not take long. Like just there's everything about Paolo that I'm excited for. So wherever he signs with, I'm definitely going to make that early investment. I don't like Adidas. I've never liked Adidas. I currently wear Adidas and it drives me crazy. But I'm hoping that it's something that's, I don't know. I've grown to like Puma basketball. And I like that. I like everything that they're doing. I'm a big J. Cole fan also. So I like the mix. I hope that whoever it is that he decides, I need a Orlando Magic colorway signature shoe. What do you think, Al?
Man, for me, I don't really have a preference. I think that ultimately it's going to come down to money, like it always does. So whoever can give him the most money, promise him the signature shoe. You can never go wrong with like a Nike shoe, right? I think those automatically get a good branding, good marketing throughout the NBA. So if it was up to me, you cannot go wrong with Nike. But like you, I'm not a big Adidas guy. Unlike you, I don't like Puma that much. So I'm kind of hoping for Nike. That's what I would think he would go with.
I'm going. Give him the bag. Like get like one of these.
Whoever gives him the dollars.
Give him the bag, but also like, all right. Here's the thing too. These shoes got to perform. I know like Puma and like Converse are kind of like trying to get back in the back, and like Reebok are trying to get back into the basketball game a little bit. But like, I worry a little bit. And this he's a big dude, a lot of force, plays a lot of power. I want him to have support. I want him to land comfortably, like he's on clouds. To me, I mean, I haven't played in a lot of other brands, but I do love Adidas shoes. I love their what am I? I'm totally forgetting the name of their insole, their soles. But they're amazing. For me, I love them. Some of the best shoes I've ever worn, just, for performance, on the court, other athletic stuff. I just really am an Adidas person. It's funny that you are not an Adidas person, Anthony, yet you are currently wearing Adidas. So that makes no sense to me. Did you become not an Adidas person with the current pair that you're wearing?
So I'm gonna
happen?
be completely honest with you, right? I'm at
Are they
the
just
point
on
of my
sale?
I'm at the point of my life where I'm just not gonna travel to the Florida Mall to buy shoes. It's just not happening. The Florida Mall is a solid 30-45 minutes drive away from me. And I'm just not gonna do it. Could I buy it online? Sure, but then I have to wait a week for it to get here. So I live around the Kissimmee area, so we have the Loop, and the Loop is kind of like a shopping area where they have a bunch of stores. That's where I found the shoe. So I'm currently wearing the Donovan Mitchell shoes, which we're going to talk about a little bit.
You got to go get some dames, bro. Get some dames.
But they didn't have.
You're
But
gonna
they didn't have dames. They didn't have dames. And I
the game
started
changers.
having knee problems. So that's part of the reason why I don't like Adidas. But yeah, I'm too lazy to go buy other shoes. It's really out of just me being a father and me being lazy. Like, I just don't want to go shopping. I hate going shopping, especially
You can't
in the
wait a
world
week
where
for shoes, though. I mean,
no,
what?
I can't because I'm impatient, and then I wait till the last minute to place the order anyways. So it's just wasn't my timing.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm wearing Adidas.
Fair.
I got a great deal. All right.
Yeah, no, I like deals.
Now, you, Stephen, you made a really good point. It really doesn't matter. Not that it doesn't matter what shoes, but he's a big guy, so we need to make sure that he's comfortable and he stays healthy.
We can't have a Zion situation where the shoe's exploding. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just that's where my head went. He's a big dude, not like big like Zion big, but he's still big, and like that shoe exploded, bro.
They were Nikes.
That's why he's got to sign with Adidas.
That's why he went with Jordan.
I got you.
Because it wasn't Nike per se. Now we know that he only played
family. I got you. Yeah.
right. Now we know he only played 2 games in the summer league. And it was a decision by the Magic, not a decision by Paolo, and he kind of just went with it. But then we also see Paolo playing in these Black Ops runs, and we received reports that he played in the Crawsover Pro-Am in Seattle. What are your thoughts on that? Does it worry you that he's getting these runs in? And then what kind of went a little, I don't want to say viral, but some concern is that during these Black Ops Pro runs, there were just clips that we saw him doing really well offensively, but defensively it wasn't all there. Does that worry you at all? Stephen, we'll go with you first.
Nah, man, it doesn't worry me at all. Like, they can shut him down during summer league when they're playing games, back to back, and within a couple of days, not necessarily back to back, but a little bit tighter. There's guys trying to make a name for themselves, so maybe they're playing a little bit differently. I don't know, but it's just summer league. I never sweat it. I never expected him to play more than 2 games, to be honest. Anyways, 3 was always a bonus for me. And then after that, the team can advise him how to spend his off season, but they don't have control over what he actually does since it's outside of team activities, right? And I'd rather him go play at a place like Black Ops or these a little bit more controlled style pickup games than just random dudes off the street, which, a guy at his level isn't going to be doing that anyways. I'm not too worried about the defensive stuff, right? This is like pickup basketball. This isn't team basketball where there's a system in place. It's a little bit more one-on-one. We know he's got a little bit of work to grow into as a defender. I ain't worried about that long-term. He'll be standing right next to Franz and Wendell Carter Jr., who are both excellent defenders in a system that makes sense to utilize him. And he's gonna be just fine, fellas, man. I'm psyched. I'm loving these highlight clips. Whether he's getting smoked and someone's yelling "Welcome to the NBA" or not, I'm enjoying it. Give me the highlights all summer long.
Well, it's interesting. You said earlier that Paolo's your favorite player now. Anthony, just off the bat. For me, I kind of want Franz to be my favorite player. I like the idea of this young guy coming over, his personality, but there's a real void in terms of social media from Franz. He's not posting clips. He's not doing interviews. Even the 1 or 2 times that I was able to, ask him questions, he was so savvy. I couldn't draw him into anything. I tried to draw him into when Luka was messing with his brother. I was like, did you feel anything when you wanted to get back? Because the year before you guys played internationally, he acted like he didn't know who Moritz was. And he was like, oh, well, I don't get into those type of things. We just try to play basketball and stuff like that, Whereas Paolo is a little more spiced, that kind of thing. So even though I love Franz, I think there's a great personality there that you've heard on podcasts. Paolo does kind of have that social media element, as you've already seen. in the crossover in Black Ops. The last guy we had during those summer kind of games was Aaron Gordon, to my memory, a guy who could kind of be on those, viral videos, that kind of stuff. So I really like seeing him out there. I like that we have a presence there. WCJ isn't going to be a guy doing that. Cole Anthony maybe could, but he's not the kind of big body guy that kind of thrives in those situations, I don't think. I do think watching him against a guy like Donovan Mitchell, that guy's going to cook everyone, in those kind of situations. He's going to
magic.
Embarrass anyone, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think too much about the defense there. I'm not really worried about guys getting injured. I like the exposure. What do you think, Al?
Same thing. I don't think it hurts, right? I think the Magic can use any single media attention that we can get, right? So I think Paulo's already bringing us that. He's only been with the team, for less than 2 months. So we'll take it. On the defensive side of things that you're talking about, Anthony, the highlights, I kind of watch those. I'm like, part of me goes into, hey, he's trying not to get hurt. He's trying to not roll ankle, hurt the opponent, right? Because again, this runs our NBA guys. I know they have a big contract. They don't want to get hurt in this games. So they're not going at it 100%. So not concerned one bit. But what's exciting is this dude is looking like Carmelo Anthony out there with this, jab steps and step backs, which is it's crazy. Now we're hearing that he's 6'11", 250. So he grew a little bit apparently. But he moves like a guard. He shoots like a guard. So it's impressive what we're seeing out of this kid. I mean, I wasn't back in the draft. I was a Jabari guy. You guys all knew that. But watching this kid in our team now, getting to really know him a little more, it's going to be an exciting season for sure.
I hated the fact that someone screamed out, "Welcome to the NBA." I want to say it was Donovan Mitchell. I want to say it.
Yeah, no,
it was a pretty big dunk. He moved the basket. He didn't break the basket. He just kind of moved it off, balance or whatever.
And the big shoulder ladder, and the level and everything. Yeah.
I thought it was a little. It's a pickup run. Like it's not that big of a deal. You didn't dunk on Paolo. He let you go by. Could he have used his 6'11", 250-pound body to kind of alter the shot?
Well,
maybe he could have. It didn't happen. Donovan Mitchell was barely 6'1", so maybe he could have used his force so that it didn't become a viral highlight. But it's not that big of a deal.
I got a theory on that, Anthony, real quick. Maybe he let him go by and played soft defense on purpose because he wanted his future teammate to get the highlight. Like, hey, dude, this is how good of teammates we are. I'm not going to block you right now. I'm going to let you get this dunk on me. And, he was saying, welcome to the NBA with a wink, like, yo, I can't wait to be on your team kind of deal, right? Like that's what it was. It wasn't like a welcome to the NBA. It was like hey, welcome to the NBA, Paolo. It's good to see you.
I mean, he repeated himself 3 times, screaming, yelling as people were trying to fix the basket. But Stephen, it's kind of like you have an agenda in front of you. You know exactly what we're going to talk about next, which brings us our perfect segue. Donovan Mitchell is a name that we keep hearing. Right, we're kind of at the later parts where we kind of have a feeling that it's not going to be the Orlando Magic, but anything could happen. When it comes to a player like Donovan, is now the right time to trade in certain assets, to trade in your young pieces, to bring in a player like Donovan, knowing that you have a number 1 pick, knowing that you have other assets to be able to make this team a 22 winning team from this past season, bringing everyone back from free agency, even your guy Bobo, Steven.
Yes.
And continue the scene. Is that really the right move? Would you want to see the Orlando Magic try and make a move for Donovan Mitchell, Steven?
For the right price. Not the
7 picks.
Asking price. Yeah. But okay, so it's is it the right time to make a move? It's not the ideal time. I think we all are in agreement that it would be nice to see this current team get a little bit of run. Would I prefer Donovan to be available, at the deadline, and that's really when things happen, so at least we get a good amount of the season watching some guys and can take some more notes and get some more evaluation. Sure, but it's kind of we know we're gonna have to make a consolidation at the guard spot at some point. He's 25. He's made 3 All-Star teams. He's never once scored less than 20 points per game in a season. He's on contract for another 3, potentially 4 years. He fits the age range of our group. So it's, and people always bring up oh, what about the next star that's going to ask their way out? Well, the next star could be 29 with a year and a half, essentially like an expiring, rental place, kind of like kind of like Kawhi Leonard was, right? Or, you don't typically find stars this young that have already proven this much success, top 25 player in the league, available potentially on the trade market. So I would say if you can get them to come down on their price a little bit, if it's that desperate, go ahead, like make that competitive offer. But I'm not here thinking that this is the time to really, gut the roster completely and really go all after it. Like, you throw out a competitive offer out there, you probably don't move off of it. And if they bite, sweet. If not, like, cool. We'll maybe we can carry on the conversation later on in the summer or into the season. Or we will have to wait for the next person or force an opportunity in the future. But it's rare to just see this situation. So it's like, it's definitely tempting for sure. And I think Donovan's a great player. And I think going to another scene where there's less drama, because there's so much drama with the Jazz for the last couple of years, like come to a fresh city where, where the culture is amazing and you have an opportunity to be sold on what we're doing and what we're building before the end of your contract. And maybe we're a really competitive team, like, making some serious noise in the playoffs in like a couple of years when Paolo's been able to develop a little bit more. Like, I don't know, man, it's definitely tempting. I would definitely throw out a competitive offer.
Yeah. Well, I think for me that there are kind of three reasons why you make trades. There's internal pressure. There's external pressure where guys are kind of looking at your team and they want somebody off your team. Then there's kind of opportunity to improve your team or opportunity to go after somebody. I don't think there's any internal pressure to make a move. There's not like guys are like, oh man, this guy can't get time. There's too many great players where you need to make a move right now. You could make a move. There's not pressure to do that. There aren't guys really clamoring for our guys right now necessarily. Right now, there's just an opportunity to maybe get a star player. So to me, you pick up the phone, you have the conversation. I do think there's some assets on the team that will improve, in the coming years. I think Cole hasn't had his best year. Chuma hasn't had his best year. J.I. has been injured. Those are guys that should improve themselves in terms of how other teams look at them. You can maybe get a better player. But I think we listen. I think he ends up going elsewhere. I haven't given it too much of my spiritual energy, but I would not be like, looking sideways at it if it happened. I just don't think it's pretty likely. You know what I'm saying?
I like Donovan. I just don't like his height. I hate the fact that he's 6'1". I feel like that is a very, very difficult. Like, you have to be a very, very special player to be 6'1" and be able to have a very high level basketball for a longevity of time. And I feel like Donovan has kind of proven that a little bit, but there's still, could he really be a massive, could he take a team deep into the playoffs? And I think that one of the things that Utah did so great at is being able to trade Rudy first. I think that was by far one of the smartest things that they can do, because they already set the base level package of, at the very least, this is what we're expecting, because we value Donovan a little bit more. Now, I think that if you did make a move for a player like Donovan, you're kind of already saying that we're giving up on what Cole Anthony could be, Markelle could be, Jalen Suggs could be. I think that we still really don't know exactly entirely what Jalen Suggs is and could be, because definitely. He missed so much time. We saw a glimpse. We saw that he's a great defensive player. We see that the shooting was a little bit of a struggle. Offensively, can he be consistent? But we still saw a lot of great things. Al, what are you thinking? If it's not Donovan, do you hold off? Do you try to make a move now? There's this debate going on of whether or not the Orlando Magic are a play-in tournament team that could kind of make that, that stretch, that run this year. Do you see that happening? Could the Magic do that without trading for a big player like Donovan?
So I think like Stephen mentioned, right? The issue is this is a star player that fits the timeline. That's really hard to do, right? To get a guy that has a star potential, it's an all-star, but also fits the roster. You're not really getting older. You're not really sacrificing much. The problem here is, the reality of it is, it's not likely. Our front office has said multiple times now they're not going to make a move anytime soon. They want to see what they got, with the team hopefully being healthy for a full year. So that puts us about a year from now to really look at some potential trades. The second thing for me is what the Jazz are asking for it's ridiculous, right? So we're hearing rumors of them as wanting 7 first rounders, 6 first round picks. That's crazy. On top of that, they want some young guys. So that would mean, just thinking here, Jonathan Isaac potentially, maybe Jalen Suggs, maybe a guy like Chuma Okeke to make the money work. And then on top of that, a whole bunch of picks. Love Donovan, don't love what he can do, but I don't think we're there yet. Now, if we were making the playoffs already, we maybe smelled the second round, we got swept in the second round, and this were to happen, you say, hey, we got Paolo being a beast now, Wendell's an all-star, Markel's playing to his potential, add a guy like him to the roster, and now all of a sudden we can make some noise in the East, then I would pull the trigger and say, you know what, do whatever it takes, because now we're that close. But right now, you make that move, and what are we going to be? 7th in the East? Maybe 6th? We're not there yet. We're going to be back to what we were maybe a few years ago with Vooch and Gordon and Fournier, where we're going to be watchable, we're going to be fun, we're going to make the playoffs, but we're not going much further than that. So I would love it for it to happen. I think the Magic are due. It's just a risky move and going after a star. They really are due, but it's not the time yet. We want to see what we got first before we make that decision.
Can I follow up there for a second?
Yeah.
What's the problem with being the 7th seed this year? Because like, here's the thing, this team's only going to get better. I'm not worried about really how we end this year. We're not really trading for Donovan for this year's performance. We're trading for him for 2 years from now when Paolo's developed more, Franz has developed more, he's built chemistry with, assuming Fultz is still on the team. Wendell's continued to just dominate. Like, this team's only going to get better. So my thing is we're not trading for him now. Yeah, this year we might be mediocre, but next year we should be more improved, because eventually you hope that Paolo outperforms him and he becomes the Robin to Paolo, right? That's ideal. Like, obviously I think Donovan as a number 1 does sort of have a ceiling, but Donovan as a number 2 next to Paolo, who would be potentially better than him, I don't know, man. That's really intriguing to me. That's where it gets spicy. And again, that's why I circle back to, I wish he was becoming available at the deadline, not now. Because also, like, if it doesn't, I'm not worried about the picks. Throw all the picks in we want. Because if we're good, well, here's why. I'll explain. Here's why. If we're good, those picks are going to be pretty bad anyways. If it doesn't work out and we have to trade Donovan in a year or two, cool, we'll get all those picks back. And also, people throw picks around like candy these days. Like, everyone's getting traded for a first round pick or 2 or 3, or if you're an all-star, 4+, right? So it's like, we can find ways to get first round picks in the future if we really need to. I'm not really worried about the picks. I'd actually rather like feed out more picks if that meant I could retain a higher level young player on the team and like replace that player with an RJ or something like that, right? Like, if it meant, can I keep Chuma if I can give you RJ instead of Chuma or something like that, like, I would do that for sure. So that's my thought.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's there are teams that are throwing away picks like water and just giving them away, but I think that's a short-sighted overcorrection to the market right now. I think that having picks and extra picks is lubrication, is capital to be able to move things and make things happen. And also, I think if you make an all-in move for Donovan Mitchell to get to the 7th seed, you've emptied the clip to be able to make the move that you need to going forward, without knowing what your guys can become and all. So, like I said, I would listen. I would not overpay. I'd love to have him if the price was right, but I'm not for trading away our flexibility and being able to have that all-in trade for the next time someone is open. It's an opportunity cost. So,
what is sorry guys, I don't mean to like hijack this by any means, but like, what is a price you are comfortable with, and all of you, like, realistically?
So I think any more than 3, I feel like just any more than 3 is excessive. But I understand your point about, if you're trying to win now, then you're really not looking into the draft anymore, or not as much as you would, because right now we're looking into the draft to be able to improve and enhance our team. But now we're getting to a point where our roster is filled with a lot of players that we've drafted. At some point, we have to be able to make that transition, in that pivot. But I think that my number would be maybe three picks and maybe a swap or two, I would be comfortable with that. And then I wouldn't want to, let go of Markelle, Cole, and Suggs. So it would definitely have to be at least one of the three. And then, depending on how you feel about Jonathan Isaac and maybe a player like RJ Hampton, where there's still a little potential there. I'm not sure if Utah would do that. I'm pretty sure Utah wouldn't do that because Danny Ainge is kind of running that thing. And that he's trying to squeeze out as much juice as he possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me personally, like Malik said, for me, it's the flexibility aspect of it. So now you're really compromising your cap space, which you've been kind of prepping for next offseason. Now that's going to take a hit. Now draft picks, you no longer have the flexibility of being able to make a big deal in the future if you need to acquire a second star to join him in Orlando or to join Paolo and him. So now you're kind of limiting yourself as to how good you can become unless all the young guys develop the proper way, which ideally that happens. To answer your question, Stephen, for me, I would say, I'm going to shock you maybe. I would say monetarily wise, you need a big contract, right? So I would think a guy like Gary Harris, second year is not guaranteed. So now you're throwing some money there. A guy maybe like Chuma or Jalen Suggs, one of the younger ones, one of the guards has to go in that deal. And like Anthony mentioned, I'll be comfortable giving Chicago's pick, Denver's pick, one of ours, and maybe a pick swap. So now you're looking at 4 picks, 2 young guys for him. If it's anything more than that, I'm out of the equation. Like, I don't think the time is right, but also it would be way too much for him. And again, like we're hearing, they want a load of picks. So I don't think that will be enough to get him.
I hear you. Cool. Good to know where you guys are at.
Yeah, I feel like if we were to make any moves and we're trading away the Denver pick, the Chicago pick, it wouldn't hurt as much. That's not our picks. And those are extras.
Well, yeah, and we'll have enough. We'll have it's not like if we trade out 4 firsts and a couple swaps, we're going to be pickless over the next 5 years. We'll have picks, right? And if we're good enough, those swaps won't even convey if we're good enough. Their own picks will be better, so we'll still have our pick. So it's not. I'm kind of like JI for filler because you just don't know with him, and I'm so worried he's just going to get injured again. That's my salary filler. Throw in Suggs and then figure out what can you squeeze an RJ? If not, it would suck, but I'd be okay putting Chuma in there. I'd like to retain Gary Harris because I think defensively you need him and his floor spacing abilities next to to come and be able to play in certain lineups next to Donovan Mitchell and Markelle Fultz. That's kind of like my possibility. But again, with you guys, I have a price. I'm not throwing every single pick out there. I'm just not nearly as worried about the picks because if things work out for us and we are healthy, the swaps won't convey, or we'll be contending to a level, if Paolo makes his steps in the next handful of years, we'll be contending at a level so well that the picks won't matter because they just won't. They'll be bad up into the late 20, into the 20s somewhere ideally, if we can be that good of a team. Now that's a lot of questions if we can get there and if guys can develop to that supporting staff. But that's just kind of like it's a fun thought process. Ultimately, I don't think he's gonna be on the Orlando Magic, but I do pick up the phone and make some calls and see what we could do.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess you must be a little bit higher on Bobo than I realized because
Dude,
the guy who, if you make that trade,
he didn't even offer.
I got you. Yeah,
he didn't even try to.
For Steve.
He didn't even try to trade Bobo at all for Donovan Mitchell.
No, it all comes back to that. I understand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's because he wants to run Bobo as our point guard. That's what it is.
Dude, Bobo next to Franz, next to
ridiculous.
Paulo, next to Wendell Carter, next to Bamba. We're good.
Our young prince.
Or actually, Wendell Carter or Franz might be a little too short in that lineup. We might have to throw JI in there if he's healthy.
Yeah, he gets some real height. So
there you go.
If it was your choice, you would have 5 Bobos out there playing all positionless basketball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is we're going to see what happens. I do have a feeling the Knicks are going to end up overpaying and getting Donovan at some point. I think that's what the cards hold here. We'll see what happens. But I did want to ask you guys. So we talked about it earlier. It's the off season really now. We have the next maybe 8 weeks with nothing really going on. But something exciting, it's going to happen in September. So the Wagner brothers are going to be playing, representing Germany in EuroBasket. How excited are you about that to see, Franz and Mo out there representing the Magic and their country? What do you expect to see from them? And are there any concerns maybe of injury with them playing in this tournament?
I'm weirdly really excited about this because I want to see what. Okay, first of all, I don't know if it was last summer or the year before. Mo Wagner was balling out for the German national team,
Sure
and you
was.
saw a different player than you saw in the NBA. A certain aggression, a certain of like kind of putting his team on his back, and I want to see if we see the same thing with Franz with the German team. I want to see how he's used. I meant to look over the German roster to see what kind of players are there, kind of big time guys. Obviously, you have who's the guy who was with OKC, the point guard, Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder. I assume he's a big part of their team and all. But I think you might see some point Franz, which we all want to see go from only Franz to point Franz, and to see what he can do with that and kind of take more touches on the ball, because I've been saying this ad nauseum that when you look at the season, Cade had about 20 more touches per game than Franz did. I think that was a big part of how much production he had. Yes, he's good, but Franz, when he had touches in December, he was ridiculous. It wasn't just being point Franz; it was just having the ball, even catching on passes, even when he just touching and moving along. If he's a central part of what Germany does, that could be very exciting and bring that to the team for next year. So I really want to see it. And Moritz Wagner, I think he's the same class as Bamba and WCJ. I think there's a little more juice in the orange with him being with the Magic as well. So I'm really excited about it.
I think we have to stop being so careful and cautious with our players. I think this is an amazing opportunity just because he's going to be playing meaningful basketball in the summer. You got Paolo out here playing in a pro-am and Black Ops run. This is Franz and Mo playing for their country, so it means just a little bit more for them. And I think that we're going to be able to see him kind of, or at least them play in an environment where it's a little more their element, just because you see these players play with so much more pride.
Mm-hmm.
And Moritz was like, when he played last international basketball, he was a monster. He looked like a completely different player. So we were just like, this dude's going to play for the Magic. He's going to take away Mo's minutes. He's going to take away everyone's minutes. And I think that is going to be Luka great too. Exposure. Yeah. I'm excited for it. Steven, you don't look excited.
No, I am sorry. I was getting distracted by Malik's cat sprinkles going in the background. That one always makes an appearance, and I love it. No, I am excited. I'm not worried about like off-season injuries, man. I think us as Magic fans have been like just
and traumatized
from everything. But like the reality is, man, like I don't know, man. Not too many NBA players like have serious injuries over the summer. Maybe a tweak here, a tweak there, but like. These guys are going to be playing. If it's not here, like if it's not at FIBA, it's going to be elsewhere. So let them play. They're going to do it. At least this way they have a team and team doctors to be able to like watch them. They can represent their country. Dennis Schroeder, Malik actually wanted to mention this. Philip Rossman, right, on Orlando Magic Daily. I was listening to that this morning. He was saying that Dennis Schroeder was actually a big component of recruiting Franz to come and play for the team. Obviously, I imagine his brother was too, but so it's cool to kind of just see, Franz connecting with other players in the NBA. Going to represent, not only his country but us to an extent, on another stage.
Maybe Nowitzki is courtside.
I am psyched. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, no, I'm psyched. I'll definitely, watch the games or at least catch some highlights.
I feel like why does Dennis Schroeder have to try and recruit Franz to play for the team? I feel like the president of Germany needs to recruit Franz. Like, do we not consider him to automatically be like the most talented player on that roster? Or is that just
I think Schroeder's kind of like taken I think he's sort of like the captain of the team.
Oh, okay.
He's taking on like the leadership role and stuff that.
Got it.
So
I'm sure it's not more than a text message that's needed.
It's like Mach schnell, haptic leave, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Hey, bro, you up? You in?
All right, now you guys just recently had NBA player development Henry Wu Jr. on your podcast, who we've seen him work really closely with Mo Bamba. what were some of your takeaways from that episode for those that didn't get a chance to listen?
Man, first off, like shout out to Henry Wu. He's a young up and coming player development coach. Been doing it professionally for a couple of years now. And for those who haven't heard the episode, he actually got his start with Ken Birch. Ken Birch and him went go back some time and recruited him to be his personal trainer for a while. And then that just skyrocketed his career to where now he's working with Mo Bamba and a handful of other NBA players and two-way players and up and coming players as well. So he was fantastic. So I guess like one of my big takeaways, man, is like these guys work. When they're with them, particularly with him, they work. They're doing 2-a-days. They do a morning skills session, then they hit the weights, and then they in the evenings is when they do like the individual training sessions with him as well. There's a plan, there's structure, and he really goes about it like, hey, I'm not going to transform you into a completely different player. What I want to do is we want to continue to be consistent on what you're good at. So for Mo Bamba, he was hitting at like, okay, you made a really big step with your shooting at 38% from three. We want you to stay in that range. So we're going to continue to work on that so you don't fall down. You stay up there within that respectable, he was talking like 37 to 40 range is like kind of what they're aiming for next year. And then, we'll find a weakness or two to then continue to develop. So continuing to work on screens, being able to work. He was really hammering a lot, working on mismatches. Right. in the offense and defensive side of things. And but then it was through that he was like, so those are the two things, but okay, you want to work on mismatches. What does that look like? Let's add a couple of post moves. So it's like, you're working on two larger things with a couple smaller things within those larger elements. And, he's really hyped. Obviously he works for Mo, so he's going to be hyped on him, but we even had some conversation off camera. And to me, it's like, I've always been like in Mo's corner, with realistic expectations, but I fully do expect Mo to come back and be an even better player than he did last year.
Well, one of the other thing that kind of hit me is that I kind of had to, I don't know if the words eat crow, but there were last year watching WCJ and Mo together. I had assumed that WCJ was more at the four a lot because coming out of college, he had said he wanted to play some more four. He likened himself a little bit to Al Horford. So I can assume the bigger player was playing the five and then that kind of thing. But what Henry Wu pointed out was that Mo was actually playing quite a bit of the four in the offense and the responsibilities with the Magic last year. So I kind of had to, knuckle under the people who was saying, no, he's playing the five and stuff. Because what they brought up was that Mo this year, they think will obviously play a lot more five because be backing up WCJ. They think he'll be able to thrive more in that role and kind of show some things and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited for hearing that. I'm excited to see some Magic fans on the timeline say, hey, hearing Henry Wu talk about Mo Bamba, I'm kind of fired up. I'm kind of excited to see what he can do, especially he's kind of in a contract year. He took the lesser offer, that kind of thing. So I'm excited to see what happens. It was really interesting to see Wu said he's almost become like a friend and almost family member with Mo. And that's kind of a lot of these trainers, you forget how young they are with these guys. And they even keep up with those guys during the season because they'll watch every game and break down film and say, hey, listen, good thing you were working on with this before. Make sure we said we're working on your base when it comes to shooting. And they're like basically like they're almost like a personal assistant throughout the year as well. So it's just interesting to get an insight into that kind of development that's emerged in the last few years for players.
I'll say this too. One thing I really liked that we heard from him, and I don't remember if this was on the podcast or afterwards, is they're expecting Mo to be an improved player, but with potentially reduced numbers. They're already in the mindset. Nothing official has come out. He even said this to me, during our time together. He's like, we haven't heard anything from the team officially on where Mo is in the lineup and all that stuff, but we're just mentally prepared for it to be potentially off the bench in a reduced role, with not as many minutes. But he's like, you're still most likely going to see some good improvement in Mo within those times, even if the numbers aren't as high all around. So just hearing that Mo is eager to be back with the team, They said the negotiation process was really easy and smooth, so that makes it known that both parties really wanted to have a return there, and that Mo is mentally ready to accept almost whatever role is about to be given to him is just super encouraging to me as someone who wants to see the Magic do well and Mo do well within the Magic system.
Yeah, I think that you learn to appreciate Mo so much more once you remove all the expectations that you previously had for him. And I think that was by far the biggest thing that was rubbing people the wrong way for Mo. And I feel like now that we've got the contract that we have, now that we kind of see where the pieces really fall and we know what to expect from Mo, I think that people are going to really enjoy seeing Mo play more moving forward than in previous past. I personally was completely shocked that we brought him back. I'm super happy that we brought him back, but I honestly thought that he was going to go elsewhere. The fact that he's back, I think that just free agency wise, I consider it a massive win for the Orlando Magic to be able to have that type of player coming off the bench for you. We know that there's concerns with Wendell Carter Jr. and his injury. So in the event that something were to happen, you got somebody that's ready to step in right away to be able to contribute on the defensive end, stretch the floor. I know that people have complaints about his motor, but I personally think at the end of the day, he cares about his teammates. He wants the team to win. He wants to represent himself the right way. And I think that it's a complete, win. I found it interesting to see the fact that he was working out with Wu just because Wu was primarily working with Kim and really helped develop him to kind of take over that second string center position, kind of put Mo on the back burner. And then here goes Mo, kind of working out with his trainer. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you did there. Not a bad move. Not a bad move, Mo. I like it.
A little insight. Wu and Kem were hanging out. They were going out to get lunch or something in Orlando, and Mo Bamba happened to be having lunch at a restaurant, at a street they were crossing, and so Kem walked over. Wu hung back to just give them space, and they chatted for a few minutes, and Kem goes back to Henry Wu and says, "Hey, Mo Bamba wants to work with you." He's like, "Oh, no, you don't need to be doing me a favor." He's like, "No, this isn't coming from me. Like, Mo Bamba wants to work with you. So, I'll get you guys in touch with each other." And that's how the whole thing started. So the whole thing, awesome. Even, Kem connected Wu and Mo Bamba, and just really made the whole thing happen. And, last offseason was his first season working with him. And even the biggest Mo Bamba hater can't say that they didn't see improvements on Mo Bamba last season, So I think it's only a positive thing. It's really cool because he's still working with other trainers too. This week he is actually working with Drew Hanlon in LA. So it's like he's still going to see other really good performance trainers as well. He's got his main guy locally in Orlando with Henry Wu.
I just wanted to say, guys, you guys did an amazing job with that interview. And to those that are watching or listening to the show today, if you haven't listened to it, go back, the Close-Up Magic, check out that interview. It was a really, really good job. You guys did with it. A lot of great insight. So we really appreciate you guys sharing that with us and our audience here today as well. To close out the show, guys, today, just a very easy question for both of you. What are your expectations for the team next season? And one bold prediction, hot take for the team next season.
Steven, I already know what you're going to say. Bobo is going to come out 6th man of the year.
Bobo starter day one.
Well, I'll knock it out for me. I've said this for a year, really, is that I think that the Magic, I expect them to be within range of the plan all season long, up until the end of the year, and maybe kind of fall back. And what I mean by in range, I'm not saying that they're going to be like the 10th, 9th, 8th seed. I just think that be within a few games, so to speak, of that plan, of that 10th spot. So if you go on a run, you can get into that kind of thing. And then if they're close enough around the trade deadline, they could maybe make a move, that kind of thing. And in terms of my hot take or, bold prediction, that kind of thing, I was thinking about what would be the most outrageous thing. Here's what I came up with. I'm thinking, what if both Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs are ahead of Markelle Fultz in the pecking order of young talent on the roster by the end of this year? I'm going to give it a prediction because I think they both have that ceiling, because Cole Anthony with his shooting off the dribble from three, Jalen Suggs with his two-way ability and combo ability, I think you could possibly see, I must say, you see both those guys being ahead of Markelle in the pecking order as young players, which again makes Markelle expendable, gives you option, that kind of thing. So that's my hot take, bold prediction. Let's see what happens.
Malik, I just want to say, I don't feel like that's super unrealistic when you consider how many other ball. Yeah, when we have so many other ball handlers, though. I'm just saying, if you think about it,
I've been waiting for this all episode.
I know
there's opportunity with Paolo being he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. Franz, we want to see him with the ball in his hands a lot more too. So you could, with the shooting off the dribble, the two-way ability of Suggs, there is a world where that could happen, where they say, well, we need these skill sets more than we need Fultz's ball handling ability, because we have ball handling ability with our forwards. I'm just saying.
I had some thunder, there's something, and now it's been stolen, which is fine. I don't need thunder. You know what I'm saying?
I like that take.
Not bold at all.
This is me saying I like that take. My expectations are, we see a healthy team. Man, I want to see a healthy team. Let us win. Let us improve by, 10 to 15 games. That'd be solid. I'm not going to put any sort of crazy expectations out there. And I'm going to say 10 to 15 game improvement, because after All-Star break, if we're not really there, maybe they start tanking it out a little bit more intentionally to kind of end the season. And maybe that's why we fall short of a bigger leap. But maybe 15 is a little bit more on the baseline, and we take a bigger jump. My hot take is sort of against the grain a little bit with Markelle. Not so much, or sorry, not against the grain.
Opposite, Malik. No, the complete opposite.
I think there's a chance that Markelle Fultz could win Most Improved Player, not because he's a bad player or and has a lot to improve on, but because the whole league has forgotten about him as a player and what he's able to do. We all get mad at other people saying, well, what about Markelle Fultz? He's you guys don't really watch the Magic. Of course they don't watch the Magic. We were tanking. He played 12 games at the end of the year, 16 off the bench for most of them. No one is tuning in for the worst team in the league right now because an number one pick from 5 years ago is all of a sudden getting injury recovery minutes. Come on, no one is watching us. That's okay. So I think he's going to come out, be healthy all year, really surprise some people, and kind of put some people on, put himself back on the map and get that Most Improved award.
I like it. Definitely the complete opposite from Malik. I love it though. I love it. My bold prediction would be something that I wouldn't even bet $1 on. It's extremely
yes. Bold. Let's go.
Not even. I'm putting no money on it. Not even my daughter's can't. I'm not nothing. Right.
You would take Al's money.
I would use Al's money. Yes, the money that he used to fly out to Boston to go watch the NBA final. That's what I would use. Definitely, 100%.
Naming rights to your next child?
No.
Okay.
No, that which is still undecided yet. So I will take recommendations.
Just the middle name.
Yeah, right. My bold prediction is Jonathan Isaac plays more than 55 games this season. That's my bold prediction that I'm not putting any money on.
I'm gonna top yours.
Not only 55. Because I think what's important about my bold prediction is that he also ends the season healthy. Not that he plays 55 and then gets injured. I think that minimum 55, he'll exceed it, and he'll end the season healthy. That's my bold prediction.
Is he going to start?
Not in the beginning. I think eventually you might have to.
I don't know where. 3 with Franz at the 2. I like it.
I think that would be the only natural fit. My only issue with that is that I really want Jalen Suggs to work out and be our two guard eventually. I really want that to be the case because I have high hopes for Suggs. At the same time, if we're really trying to win, we've seen Franz already handle the ball as a point Franz. We know that he's a do it all. I'm okay with experimenting at the 2 because can you imagine a lineup of Wendell, Paolo, Jonathan, and Franz? Let's not even talk about Markelle's playmaking ability. I think that's scary for an opposing team.
Wagner, I like it.
Yeah, and there you go. I think that would be something. I think that would change the way that people view the Orlando Magic, because it's kind of like, oh, okay, I see what you guys are doing here. Because when people talk about the Orlando Magic, they really like Jonathan Isaac. His situation is on the back burner a little bit.
That's
Like,
when we talk about him. Same here.
Yeah, and it's I don't blame you. It's been 2 years. Like, even if he comes back healthy, what type of player is he going to be really? So my bold prediction that I wouldn't put any money on would be he plays more than 55 games.
All right.
So I was gonna up yours, but you kind of fix it at the end there by saying he starts by the end of the season.
Don't say
Wagner
56
goes to the
games.
2. No.
$1.
Mine's was gonna be Ji finishes the season healthy, so he plays off the bench initially, stays
Great
healthy.
prediction.
This is mine though. By the end of the season, people are going to put Ji heading into the following season as one of the top defenders in the NBA again, and a potential All-NBA defender again, which again brings back that potential he had back to life. Again, it's all to do with health, but I think he does manage it. Maybe it's because I read his book this week, but yeah, let's go with that.
I think you're
thing.
enthusiastic.
If these JI aspects come back through, like he comes back healthy, same defender he was before, with an improved jumper. I mean, here's my thing. I like Wendell Carter Jr., but I think you slide Jay at the 5 because I don't know if Franz is going to be able to guard some of those quicker shooting guards on a full basis. I think he can handle them on switches, but particularly if Fultz is our starting guard, he's a passable defender. He's not like, you don't necessarily want Fultz on your point of attack guard, right? Like you kind of need another supporting guard there. So slide JI at the 5. I love Wendell, but God, imagine Wendell off the bench too, dude. He would just slaughter people. Gosh, that would be insane. Anyways, I don't want to really go down that rabbit hole too much. I just want to put a little caveat there. We got some exciting players.
All I'm going to say is you start lining up in 2K and you'll fall in love with it.
Fair enough. On it.
So, got it. Wendell coming off the bench, Bobo starting at the 5. That's what you're saying, right?
J.I. No, J.I., not Bobo.
My bad. I think those are all very realistic, minus the Bobo part. But I think realistically, not that we would put money on it, but I think we can see at least some of those things go into fruition.
Wow, that's amazing.
Imagine Markel
Fultz is 6th man of the year, but Cole and Suggs are actually better than the 6th man of the year. Wow, I mean that's conference finals team. So I like where your head's at.
I agree. Man, awesome stuff. Thank you guys for joining us. Always a pleasure talking Magic basketball. Malik, it was awesome meeting you not too long ago at the NBA draft party.
Yeah,
Stephen, we still got to make that happen, man. When are you coming down?
Coming back for the holidays, and the rough plan right now is to do a close-up Magic suite, which you guys would be invited to.
Yeah, because we weren't invited the first time around. I will add that.
We're not cool enough. We're not cool
Sorry,
enough
guys.
back then.
Yeah. Stephen, where for those that aren't following you already, where is it that they can find the podcast, the social media, all that good stuff?
Yo, Close Up Magic everywhere. All the podcast platforms. We just recently launched on YouTube. Go ahead, head over to our channel and subscribe, but only do that if you continue to listen to the OZone. Do not come over and stop listening to the OZone. We love these guys. You guys are a weekly listen from me.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, find us over there. And then you can find my personal Twitter account is Stephen STEPHEN 0610. It's right there on the screen if you are watching it. And that's me. That's the podcast. And couldn't do anything that I'm doing with the podcast and the show right now without Malik Grady. Sorry, it's mirrored. It's a mirrored camera right now without Malik Grady over here.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just Malik G on Twitter. I think I'm Malik Aming on Instagram if you want to go there. But definitely check us out, YouTube, like and subscribe on iTunes, that kind of stuff. And there's room in Magic Hearts for this podcast, as well as Close Up Magic and lots of other podcasts, which are coming up every week. And even though Steven's trying to toss dirt on them as they go by the wayside,
I would never do that.
There's plenty of room for everybody.
But never do that.
Hey man, you guys do quality work. Definitely a great listen. If you haven't checked out their most recent with Henry Wu, it's a lot of great insight, a lot of great information there. So definitely check that out. I appreciate you guys so much for giving us something to talk about, because we were really like, what are we gonna talk about? So appreciate all the great insight that you guys give, and that's rad, man. We'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to the OZone Podcast, the voice of Magic fans. For all the latest Orlando Magic news and updates, follow us on Twitter at the Ozone Pod and on Instagram at Orlando Magic HQ. Remember to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on all your favorite podcast listening platforms.